Beth Rawls from Diller, Nebraska. I live within the Steel Flats Wind Farm. We have no problem with insurance. We have had new structures built within that are non-participants. Our land values have not gone down, our home values have not decreased. We do have new people come in, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel that we need to base this on science. We've heard tonight 10 times setback, 3.5 or 3 setback. I think both perhaps in many instances, or perhaps at least a fair share, are spawned by anxiety and fear of the unknown. So I agree. I would wholeheartedly support good, sound decisions made on good, sound data. A lot of emotions run high. A lot of people have had conversations with you, I'm sure, that have been heated, and that's going to happen. So looking at data again and determining which data to use, but to do due diligence in the data that is used, but to dispel that whole point of the property value. I at least want to bring that up to you from my own personal experience.
Hello, my name is Josh Witzke. I live in Plymouth. My question to you guys is, why is it okay to allow a 1,300-foot setback at 1,320, whatever it is right now, the 3 times the height, to a primary dwelling when other businesses are required to stay a nominal distance away from property lines? Why is this not something that is set back the same as other businesses like hog farms to a...
We go to the front doors on them, residences.
Okay. Junkyards, how far is that set back? Because there are multiple businesses that are set back from property lines. And one of the things is, on this one, it does not allow for new growth in the county, because you cannot build a structure within that distance, and you're not going to get them to move that turbine if you want to build on your own property.
That's with everything. Whoever first come, first served in this county.
Okay. So now you can no longer use our property the way we want, because you can restrict what I can build on my property.
It's been that way since 2003, isn't it? I think that was the building law.
Well,
So why don't we change the setback?
I think what we're here for
to,
tonight.
it is a setback.
That is what we're here for, wind regulation, what the county.
Yes, and wind regulation to set it back from the property line is what I'm asking.
Everything else is to the front door.
Everything. Not everything in your book is.
Well, majority of it is. All livestock buildings are to the front door.
So just majority is.
I know for a fact that the livestock buildings are. I haven't went back and looked at if anything's to them.
Okay, so with that being said, can I still build a structure between my front door and a cattle unit or a hog unit?
Get a special use permit.
Can I get a special use permit to build a structure on my property closer to that turbine? Okay.
I'm Michael Dukes, County Commissioner. I said I wasn't going to speak, but this question is directed toward NextEra. There was an issue with the tower there a couple of years ago. Would you answer that? What happened to that tower?
Matthew Jones, NextEra Energy. I feel like Beth would be the best person to actually speak to this, but Before my time as developer, in Nebraska, Dave Hendricks had a tower. There's 44 towers down in Steel Flats. And there was a blade failure on one of the towers. I think it was in 2018. You know what year it was, Beth?
No, I do not.
But essentially what happened is these blades are made out of fiberglass, and so in certain cases, like any mechanical structure, you know, there's elements that blade is exposed to that can weaken it over time. And so I think for us as a company, we've recalibrated some of our maintenance to study the blades and look at them closer. And so now what happens is the blades, kind of like a tooth, you carve out the weak spot in there, or the crack, or the deformity, and you're able to refill it to kind of strengthen the blade and make it work. But what happened on that blade is that it cracked, and unfortunately, when it cracked, it broke and it hit the turbine structure, the pole itself, and the tower fell over. And so they do happen. I mean, we've got thousands of turbines across the country, and really, if you look at the number of times that that's happened to our fleet, I think it's less than 10 of the thousands, over 10,000 turbines that we have. And I think it's just one of those things that goes to show you, you know, if you're worried about 10 and 10,000 or 10 and 12,000, then you're probably not going to leave your house. I mean, that's just the incidence, the percentage of time that happens. It's really unusual. And I think for us as a company, it's something we take really seriously. And, you know, GE, Vestas, Siemens, they've all weighed in on the topic. They give us the setbacks that are safest for the people there. They've got a lot of liability as they manufacture the structures. So we listen to their recommendation, and that's been something that, as Chris has said, treats the industry well. I mean, no one has, as Chris mentioned, been harmed by a falling turbine. And so that's why we have setbacks 1.1 times its hit height.
Did that fall within the fall zone when it
It
was
did.
constructed?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people from Steel Flats, and I'm by far not the best person to speak to it, but again, that's why we have setbacks.
Any other comments? A little mic over there, please. Hold it up close.
Hi, I'm Jenna Whiskey, a rural Jefferson County resident, and I've had a question for some time. We know the safety manuals are often redacted and not open to the public, and we also know that these turbines can be up to 650 feet based on what they're planning in other counties as well right now. What is the exact fall zone or safety zone number for a 650-foot turbine? There's been leaked safety manuals in the past that have said it's at least 1,600 feet. Those were smaller turbines. I'd like an exact number. I'd also like an exact number of how far a 650-foot tower casts a shadow. And I'd also like to encourage the planning and zoning that these setbacks that we are demanding need to be to the property line. I do not want a shadow anywhere on my property. I do not want the sound that they're proposing anywhere on my property. I do not want the setbacks to my dwelling. Frankly, it's none of your business what my primary dwelling is. I may choose to rent my house out. These setbacks need to all be to the property line. And if you don't have a good reason why they should be, please explain to us why you're going to the dwelling. So I would like to know the answer on the shadow flicker, especially that number, if you could answer that for me, thank you.
Again, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like.
Please.
So again, Chris Olson, appearing on behalf of NextEra. So I believe we sent you folks the GE safety manual from 2018 in January, February. We have not. Either way, tonight I admit we will provide you with the GE safety manual. We will have it, through David to Gardner Home, send it to John, the zoning administrator. We'll do that at the end of this meeting. I can tell you right now, the GE safety manual that's publicly available, and it has been since 2018, states it's 1.1 times tip height to things like homes, property lines, etc. That is not what we're going to build, or any responsible developer is going to build 1.1 times to a home. We're going to step back further than that. That's what's being discussed tonight. In terms of, and the 1600 foot that you're referring to, the LEAP manual, I believe you're referring to the Vestas safety manual, or quote unquote safety manual back in the early or mid 2010s, where there was this supposed leak of the Vestas safety manual. Vestas is on record that is not the setback distance that we provide that manual to you as well. It was not a setback safety distance to homes or non-participating properties. And either way, you know, your 3 times tip height would cover you for that. In terms of shadow flicker, as I talked to the board before, or the meeting before, shadow flicker, the modeling that gets done, and then you would require to have a model done for you in advance of the project being approved to the no more than 30 hours at the home, not at the property line. At the home is where we typically see these things regulated, whether it's by state or by county. The no more than 30 hours of shadow flicker come, you know, for example, state of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, others in the Midwest here, that have state level regulations of 30 hours. Most counties, if they do have regulations of 30 hours, if you're going to be in a, you know, again, a 575 foot, 600 foot tower, you will have shadow on a adjoining property. There's no question. It will occur. And it will occur.
But you have models to predict those
We
shadows.
do.
We're on the subject of height.
Okay,
So
so,
height,
yeah,
we'll do
so
the shadow.
come back to
later.
shadow flicker then.
Yep. Just keep it on the distance from the home.
Joanne Lucky, and we own property in Jefferson County, the farm. And one thing that you're not addressing on this, you're talking about the health and welfare and stuff like that of residents. But how about our agriculture business that it is going to affect? If you put a tower next to my property line, I don't think they're gonna come and spray my crops if I need my crops sprayed. And there are some things that you just cannot get sprayed without an airplane. And if any of you would like to fly a plane over my fields that need fungicide, and I've got a turbine next door, I would invite you to do that, because I know for a fact that our local air sprayer guys are not gonna do it. So I think that's something else that we need to address, and I would agree that it has to be the property line, not the residents.
Thank you. I do have a phone number of a helicopter out of their county that'll do the spraying.
Come on. First come, first served.
Will the helicopters really come over here?
They were down in Steel City last week.
For the right price?
We did have the, our application done by the agency you spoke of from Hebron. Actually, they did it at a lower price than Aurora was charging previously. Aurora no longer is willing to do it, and we understand that. But the helicopter was extremely effective. There is also another applicator that has come in to the area from Nebraska City. And so I can speak to the price that they charge. It is not an elevated price because of the need. They will come in and they will spray, and they're very timely. Did an excellent job. We were quite pleased, and there were other producers who used them as well. So that shouldn't be a concern to anyone who has that question.
If you have cover crops, it might.
It is. We plant cover crops by plane.
They should be able to apply it in the same manner. You might want to speak to them and ask them, I can answer that. But as far as the application of fungicide, we did have that done, so I did want to answer that question for you since you were concerned about it.
Let's please stay on the subject A, so many times the high powers. Hopefully we'll get to anything else later. Anybody else got anything on that hasn't spoken yet for their 3 minutes? Seeing no more, is there any discussion by the board?
As far as the flying goes, there's the obvious danger of flying into them, around them, being distracted by them, and the powers that sit